What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com. Welcome back to another one of our previews. Well, this weekend, it's all about Del Mar. It is Pacific Classic weekend, and we've got a very, very good race for you here. Kind of different for a California Stakes race. We've got a field 11 lining up here for this year's version of the Pacific Classic. I'll put up on the screen for you now. Like I said, it is going to be Saturday, race 10 on the card. And like I said, a field of 11. All right, let's get to it here. All these horses going 1.25 miles, so distance going to be a big key, as always, for these races. And we'll start with a filly, the number one, Almond Joy, who's going to kind of channel her inner nitrogen, so to speak, and try to do what nitrogen did when she ran second in the Whitney. Maybe Almond Joy can get a piece of this thing in the Pacific Classic. Well, I don't know. I think this horse is in very, very good form. It would be very cool for a California bred filly to hit the board. I think that would be very fantastic, or even win this thing, obviously. Last time out was second in the Clement Hirsch, finished behind Inamia. And the problem is, like, I don't think that was that strong of a race. I didn't come away from that race thinking, wow, that was really all that strong. And so I think this horse is just a little bit overmatched in the spot. Also, not really bred to get the distance of 1.25 miles, even though, breeding aside, this horse 2 races back looked pretty good at 1.1 miles. And like I said, 1.16 miles last time out, not bad. But I don't know. It's not for me in the spot. I'm going to pass on the number one, Almond Joy. Really like this horse, just not in this spot. Let's go next to the number 2, Forge Steel, as Safi Joseph sends 2 horses out here. We'll get to the second one in a minute. But Forge Steel, a horse that 2 races back did ship to win the Hollywood Gold Cup there at Santa Anita. Flavian Pratt was aboard that day. Won by 9.5. Looked pretty darn good doing it. It was kind of one of those average East Coast horses that shipped to the West and took advantage of a weak group. Think of Anamia, who we just talked about in the Clement Hirsch, that beat Almond Joy. Same kind of thing. Not that great of a group out here in California when it comes to the olders. East Coast trainer sees a spot, ships in, and wins. And so, I think most of us kind of were like, yeah, not a great horse, found a great spot. It was at 1.25 miles, so that's kind of a feather in the cap. But then went to the Suburban in the last start, got 5th, beaten 12, and never was seen from again. I don't love Forge Steel in this spot because I do think there's a tougher group. There's more horses shipping in, so it's not just him like it was in the Hollywood Gold Cup. I don't like him quite as much in this spot here. I'm going to take a pass on number 2, Forge Steel. I think he's up against it a little bit in this spot. The number 3 is Finger. This is the worst named horse maybe ever, but also the most unknown in the race, coming in from Japan. Last time out, won a $1.1 million race, going 1.25 miles there in Japan, and won it by 1.25 lengths. 2 races back in 1.8 miles, a 3-length winner as well. So this kind of reminds you of when you're handicapping Kentucky Derby, or when you're handicapping certain races at the Breeders' Cup, where it's like, okay, how's the Japanese form? How's it going to translate? Sometimes it translates very well, and sometimes it doesn't, and you just never really know. All you can do is kind of go back and look at the races he's been in. He's won 4 out of the last 5 starts and looked very good doing it. Purses have been pretty high. You go back and watch the replays, look pretty good. He has a win over the distance. He's also, United States bred. He's by Gunrunner out of McLean's Music Mare. So obviously, if you see this resume here in the United States, he's probably the favorite of the second choice. It's just that, how will he ship, and what does that really translate to over here from Japan to the United States? Always a little bit of a guessing game. I think he comes in with a big chance. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, he is a 3-year-old facing older horses, and he'll be doing that for the first time. All the races that I've mentioned here lately have been against 3-year-olds, and of course, he was racing against 2-year-olds as well. So first time up against older horses, and think about that. Translate that to the United States. When we see that, we think, man, that's to be a little tough. That's a tough challenge right off the bat, right? So, but look, this horse has been really good. I'm going to use him in stuff because I think, look, A, he's very unknown, so you're not quite sure who he is, right? And B, he definitely has a resume that says he's pretty good. Like, he's been doing good things over in Japan. It's not like he's, getting beat over there. Like, he's winning, and he's winning kind of in dominant fashion. So I'm going to use him, and I'm not going to put him on top, but I will use him on tickets because I think, look, if he comes over here and he's very, very good, he's going to come over here and have a big chance for sure. The number 4 is Subsondador, a horse that's just kind of in these races all the time. It feels like here in California, and, struggles to win them, right? He's kind of around, but At times he can jump up and run pretty big. He just has not done that in a while. 5-2 last time at the Hollywood Gold Cup. That was back 89 days ago, got fifth. It kind of eased in that race. 2 races back, it went to Oaklawn, got fourth, didn't run very well. 3 races back, Santa Anita got fourth. A tough race, though. There getting beat by a couple of nice ones, but I have no interest in Subsondador here, there, or anytime. He's just kind of one of those horses. He'll show up and run well at times, but the comeback trail here has not been good. His better races were all the way back in 2024. Long layoff, comeback, just hasn't done much. He's not much for me in this one. The number 5 is Malarchuk, another one I don't have a ton of interest in either. Kind of had a little bit of hype, and after a nice maiden breaking score at Aqueduct way back in 2024, had a long layoff, came back, struggled, finally won, after his 5th start back from a layoff, and looked okay in an allowance race. Then got transferred over to Michael McCarthy after Chad Brown had this horse for all of his races. Tried to race at Sunland where he was 9-2, got second, beaten 2.5, didn't look great there, and then got beaten 9.5 by Forge Steel last time out. It's just not for me in this spot with Malarchuk. The number 6 is Original Sin. This horse coming off a 9th place effort last time out in the Suburban. Also was a winner, though, 2 races back in the Blame, and actually beat Hit Show and Houday, and a little bit of an upset 5-1 win there at Churchill Downs. And why this horse was in the Suburban was kind of start to put together a couple of races that weren't bad. 3 races back, an allowance win at Keeneland, beat a couple of decent enough horses, right? 5 races back was a allowance winner at Fairgrounds. So, decent enough form until that Suburban. Suburban was a disaster, right? And we've kind of seen him have some races that are a little bit of disasters in the past. He was 9-5 at an allowance at Fairground and didn't run really a stab, but he got beat 12.25, finished 6th in that spot. So we've seen him show up and not run very well. The Suburban doesn't bother me. He's just a little bit of a cut below for me. So I don't have a ton of interest in the number 6 Original Sin. The number 7 Hit Show, he's that hard knocking horse, right? He's just a hard trying horse. What's he got left? Does he have enough left to come over here and win a race like this? Is hitting the board to kind of a ceiling? Who is he? Of course, he was a horse that made his name early, running well in races as a 3-year-old. Kind of that runner-up type in a way, right? And then went over and won the Dubai World Cup. But that was all the way back in 2025. So he didn't win this year's running, obviously. He did go back this year. He was 5th this year. So he didn't run all that poorly. Also, since he came back from the Dubai World Cup where he won it in 2015, he did win a couple of other races that year, albeit not the strongest races in the world, but he did. And he finished up 2025 running 2nd in the Clark behind Magnitude. So not a bad, way to finish. Came back. Let's go to this year. Came back, won the Mine Shaft. Looked okay. Kind of a weak running of the race, but still he won. That's good. Like I said, 5th in Dubai, 3rd in the Blame last time out, 2nd in the Suburban, beaten 10 lengths in a race where Phileas Fogg kind of ran away from him. I don't have a ton of interest putting this horse on top. I do think this is a very logical hit the board candidate in the spot. So I'll be using him there. I think he can hit the board for sure in the spot. Use him underneath. That's kind of my recommendation for him. The number 8 is British Isles. British Isles coming off a 4th place effort and then Hollywood Gold Cup. Also 6th in the Ben Ali 2 races back. He did win the Santa Anita handicap 3 races back by 4.5. But it was another one of those situations where these horses just weren't very good, and he took advantage of it. And I think he was one of them that really wanted to go 1.25 miles, and so that's what happened. But like I said, last 2 races not that great. I'm not a big fan of him in this spot either. I'm going to take a pass on the number 8, British Isles. I'm a huge fan of this horse in specific spots, and those specific spots have been a little bit weaker company, and that's the number 9 Navajo Warrior. 3 races back, a nice allowance race at Gulfstream Park, and Safi Joseph said, all right, let's do it. Let's send this horse into stakes company. Won the Pimlico Special by 2 3/4, kind of a weaker race, but did get the job done. And then last time out, went up to the Cornhusker at Prairie Meadows, got the job done again by 3.5. I thought he was very impressive in both of those races. Now, he got easy leads in both of those races. That's the problem here. I don't think he's going to get an easy lead, and therefore it's harder to like him as much in this spot as I have in those last couple. But I do think, look, Safi has done a good job shipping horses out here. He's found spots for horses that have really made sense this year, like Navajo Warrior, like Forge Steel, even throw Skippy Longsocking in there. He's found some spots for him until last time out that could get him wins. We'll see on Navajo Warrior, though. I just think the pace is going to be a lot. I like him. I do like him, but I'm worried about the pace for him. The number 10 is Full Serrano. Full Serrano, a horse we haven't seen since March 28th in the Oaklawn Mile, where he broke horribly, but still got fourth, beaten 2 3/4. He ran that day. He just broke poorly. Pegasus World Cup, also third, beaten 7 1/4. Ran okay in that one as well. I don't know what's going on with this horse. I think at a mile, he's really good. I just think past a mile, I'm not really interested. You saw him at a 1.125 last year in the Goodwood. He ran well, but then he got tired and got beat by Nevada Beach by a length and a half. He's not for me. I'm going to pass on Full Serrano here. A classy horse, of course, a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner. I get it, classy horse. He's not for me in this spot. I think he's up against it in this one, especially off the layoff. Then finally, the big shipper and the horse that everybody's, I'm sure excited to see is the number 11 Knightsbridge. Knightsbridge coming in here off of a dominant 1.125 victory in the Monmouth Cup at Monmouth Park by 10 1/4. A huge figure. Everything great about that. Look, I think the big question is, can this horse get 1 1/4? And I kind of think the answer is yes. The horse is by Nyquist out of a Bernardini mare. That says 1 1/4, right? And I think they've had trouble keeping him healthy. And that's kind of my theory on why they've kind of kept him at shorter distances, but looked very good last time winning. Now, more pace here for sure, but this is a horse that's won from off the pace as well. I don't really think he needs the lead. I don't really think this is a bad post for Knightsbridge either. I've heard some people say, ooh, he drew the 11. That's not good. It is a long run to that first turn, and I kind of trust that Junior Alvarado will put this horse in a good position. I think ideally the horse goes gate to wire, right? But if he doesn't, I think he can sit second or third. He's going to be all right. Now, the one worry with Knightsbridge, he did win a 1.125. That was over a sloppy track. Maybe the track carried him. Sure, I could see that. If you want to play against him, you don't think he goes 1 1/4, that's fine. I don't really have any problem with that. He is going to be a big favorite, but I kind of made the mistake of thinking, I think at 1.125, Skippy Longstocking is going to beat him at Monmouth. And yeah, that was ridiculous. And I'm not going to make that mistake again. I just look at this field and I go, forget about distance. He's clearly the best horse. Like, I don't think it's close. I don't think the other horses are in the same category other than maybe Finger. We don't know about him, right? These other ones, I'm not too worried about it. So, I'm going to go number 11 Knightsbridge to win. I think Junior puts him in a good spot. He knows the horse well. This horse, other than the race at Churchill, has been really good. Even when he lost the Met Mile, I thought he ran spectacular. So it's Knightsbridge all the way for me. So number 11 Knightsbridge on top for me. I'm going to go number 3 Finger in second. I'll go number 7 Hit Show in third. And then I'll go number 9 Navajo Warrior in fourth. So I'm going to go 11-3-7-9. 11-3-7-9. That's Knightsbridge, Finger, Hit Show, and Navajo Warrior. All right, guys, Eller's preview. Hit that like button if you like it. Subscribe if you like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting Del Mar on Saturday.